Welcome. No.
Well, we recorded that, so great.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I might as well run with it then, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Welcome to Nerding Out. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. And
Is
welcome.
this the Halloween cast?
Yes, we're almost at Spooptober.
We're almost. Yeah.
I guess we should do a little spoiler for the next month's podcast coming up. We're going to do a lot of scary themed podcasts.
I'm terrified.
There's a nice reverb on that one.
That's how I feel whenever I see my credit score.
What is your name, good?
Just like, ah!
So,
Mine went up.
who are you?
I am Havid Jafad.
I think your name is David, but sure.
Yes.
Was that the English pronunciation or the French? I'm Nathanael.
My name's Fappin Bradley.
I'm very uncomfortable now.
And welcome to Nerding Out. Hi, my name's Evan. Yeah. Gentlemen, how have you been?
I don't know if gentleman's right. Oh, sure.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
That's
I think if
excellent.
the weather stays this way and things
Oh
slow
yes, it's
down-
been very cool. I
Oh, it's
appreciate
been
that so much.
beautiful
I
here.
love that. Yeah.
Oh man.
I love cold weather.
The
so much
weather
more.
where you could literally just be like, I could go to the mountains, I could go to the beach, I could go to the desert,
Mhm.
I could do anything.
That's always been my argument with weather. People are like, "Oh, in San Diego, don't you love San Diego?" No, because it gets so freaking hot out here. And the thing is, though, there's nothing you can do to combat the heat. Like, you can't get more naked.
Yeah.
Like, I can't rip off my skin.
Right.
Like to get.
I mean, you
cooler.
can.
I mean,
but-
It's not in public. That's a slight problem with that.
well, I
Yeah,
mean, you
I
can in public too, but
Oh,
most
the
people would be
That'll be-
uncomfortable with that. Also, I'm pretty sure it's illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, ripping off your skin in public, I feel like that is like the ultimate degree of indecent exposure. You know what I mean?
I mean, unless it's just dead skin because you've got sunburn at the beach, which I had an experience with that
But that's
recently.
You've
argument.
You've
yeah.
had an experience with having all of your flesh ripped off.
No,
Oh.
being sunburned and having to remove some of the
Oh.
dead skin. I've almost never had that happen because my skin is just so resilient and it's
Crazy.
like dark
Yeah.
enough to where I just
have
get
my dad's
sunburned.
color, but my mom's skin. So like I burn like a
Ooh.
Jewish man.
Are we referencing furnaces and?
I'm not.
Is this
Are
a-
you?
is this
I
a
mean-
moment for like World War II jokes?
No,
I've
it
been
isn't.
waiting for this
Stop.
For a long time.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, let's pump the gas pedal on this one. So,
I burn like a small pale man.
oh, I love that joke made it through. So,
All right.
David,
Hey, Nathaniel.
yes.
I've been trying to find a good TV series to binge. What would you give me?
I think
That's a good transition.
yes, that's an excellent transition, and I would tell you to go to www.google.com. You can just search best TV series, and you'll find a bunch of crap lists, which is why we have my segment to binge or not to binge. So, I recently finished a 2-season show named Gallivant. Have you heard of Gallivant?
I have not heard of Gallivant, Nathaniel.
No.
Tell me about it.
Liars, you've heard about it now. So, Gallivant is fantastic. It started in 2015, ended in 2016 because it got canceled. It's set up for season 3. Not like, it didn't end on a cliffhanger. It ended on more of a we're setting up for season 3, but we got canceled sort of way.
Okay.
So, it is a medieval fantasy show, but it's a musical and it's satirical. And it's hilarical. That's not a word. It's hilarious.
In a Monty Python kind of way, or in a
It's very. I'd say it's very Monty Python-esque, but it's half comedy, half drama, 1/10 musical.
Okay.
Merely a flesh wound.
Give me the plot. What's the plot?
So the plot is there is a knight in shining armor named Gallivant, and he's in love with
That's the name of the
love
show.
of his life. Yes, that's the name of the show. Oh my! But guess what? His name isn't actually Gallivant. That's his last name.
Boo.
Spoiler, kind of.
We're serious.
So he's in love with his girlfriend. They're not fiance yet or anything, but
Were there
they're like,
fiancés back in medieval times?
well, this show has a lot of modern stuff in it, so it's
okay.
yeah. They
It's one of those. Okay.
they like it's like all medieval, but they like talk in modern ways and everything.
They don't talk in the Queen's English.
They don't say hithers and thous.
They do, but more in a joking type of way.
Does mother know
everything
you wear her drapes?
Ugh. Everything that the show does is in jest. Everything. Like, there's literally a part where a king has a lizard and he thinks it's a dragon. And he's like, no, but it's a dragon. And it's going to... Tad Cooper's going to kill everyone. Like, just you wait. And with Galvan, the lizard is named Tad Cooper. And he thinks it's a dragon. And there's this one part where the one of the bad guys walks up to the king holding this dragon, and he just smacks it out of his hand. You see this like toy lizard just go flying through the sky, and he's like, "No, my dragon! You killed it!" It didn't actually die.
I'm gonna name my first son Tad Cooper.
That's awesome.
Tad Cooper Salabaria.
That's actually a really good name, actually.
It's not. It does have that.
Is Tad short for something? I'm sorry, we're getting off topic. Anyway.
Yeah.
Continue with the plot.
Maybe
we'll have a Galvan.
Thaddeus? Like Thaddeus
Cooper. That's.
Or maybe
Don't steal it. It's mine.
I can't do that.
Tadpole? No, that doesn't make any sense. My chilled tadpole. Chilled is how you pronounce childed. So
plot.
yes, so he is in love with his girlfriend, and they're just always, in love and making love, and he does a lot of heroic pursuits. Everyone loves Gallivant, sings about Gallivant, and then she gets kidnapped by the king because he wants her in a sexual way, you could say, in all
naturally.
the ways.
A very Braveheart plot here, then.
Yes,
Okay.
and he wants to marry her and make her the queen. So
Is
it's
Gallivant
his-
shouting for freedom at any point?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But he does. So he goes after her, and it just turns into the. I can't even express how over the top and ridiculous and how happy this show
Is this where it turns into more Monty Python?
There are some plot points that are jokes, and they roll with it.
I love that there's
Like-
plot points that are jokes. I love that.
And it's just, it's so beautiful. I would love to watch the whole thing again. And if you guys want to watch it sometime, I don't know if it'll ever happen, but watch this show. It's only like 23 episodes total.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they're 20 minutes each.
Where can one find this?
Netflix.
Netflix?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
100% worth the watch
Binge?
to anyone. Yes, binge.
Binge or
Binge, thumbs
Binge.
up. 2 thumbs up, whatever.
Awesome.
3 thumbs up. I have a thumb on my foot, don't judge. So, yeah, definitely binge the show.
excellent.
I can't wait to see Tad Cooper in action.
You might not.
Starfishing across the sky. That's what I call when that's what I call it when like something is like sprawled out like that and it's like spinning. Yeah, oh yeah.
Starfishing.
Oh, man, there's so many parts of the show I want to give away, but it just... I know.
Later at another date. Now.
So,
Yeah.
main topic.
Main topic.
Someone sing a song quick.
I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you.
All right. We'll probably have to gonna...
I'm so
We could have
glad.
done the whole damn song, dang it.
No,
I only got
copyright.
sued like 3 times.
We're
Yeah.
so good it would get copyrighted, is that
Yes,
what you're saying?
that's what I'm saying. We're too perfect.
Too good.
So, soundtracks.
Top 5
Speaking of
soundtracks.
music,
Speaking of music, yeah. So we're becoming more and more like Watch Mojo every day, and we're just doing more lists.
I mean, lists are fun.
Lists are fun. Yeah, but we're talking about soundtracks, and it's just we're gonna go around, and it's gonna be our top 5s. We're just gonna go around like we normally do, like 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1.
And nothing is off limits. If there is a keychain with a soundtrack and we think it's a great soundtrack, one of the best,
Yes,
Right.
we will add
absolutely.
you heard it. Tamagotchi soundtrack.
it. Oh, no.
What do you mean you pooped yourself to death? No. You think that's bad? Mine died by eating its own babies. That's not
Stop food.
What are we quoting?
It's a
Code Geass of Ridge.
Oh.
Code Ment, as it's called.
Code Ment. By Purple Eyes. Yeah. So we, as a general rule, one soundtrack per franchise. So you can pick if it's a movie from a series, from like a trilogy or whatever. Pick one movie from that trilogy. If it's anime with like multiple adaptations, pick one. Pick one of the adaptations. Video games with a series, pick one video game from the series. We're not going to
representative.
One representative from each.
That's just to keep it from being like the top 10 soundtracks. By the way, all 10 are Zelda because it has the best soundtrack
Yes,
of all time.
exactly.
Like example, I'm not saying it does, but it
just
has
to keep us
one of
keep us from having
obvious.
being obvious and predictable.
Yeah.
We have different ones, except for Nathaniel. I think he picked all of them.
I picked all movies, so now I have to reconcile that. And
Well, to be fair, you mentioned before how you have like
I have over 200, close to 300 video game soundtracks on my computer that I've listened to.
So it would have been
Not
really
all of
hard.
them,
It would have been really hard for you to pick between those. I'm sure. right?
I've made a top 10 list in the past, and the article's available somewhere online for video game soundtracks. It hasn't changed too much, but there would only be video game soundtracks on my list. If we went like all soundtracks from
Of all
anything, it
time.
would just be video game soundtracks.
Okay.
But I'm gonna try to mix it up a little bit, and we'll see how that plays
Well,
out.
that's perfect then. So,
How do we want to start this?
Number 5, let's go with Evan.
let me get my list.
Numero cinco.
didn't know we were starting with
me.
I wasn't ready.
We're bilingual now?
I mean, I have been since a while.
Foof.
Fump.
That's German 5.
Oh, I was gonna say, what movie is that?
And
Should have
shout out to my fiance, soon to be wife. She showed me this movie, and it is The Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes, I know that one.
That soundtrack is amazing, and I rock out to it very, very often. And yeah, it's still like captivates my heart, and it's still very fun. I think I know because she told me, but she wants our first dance at our wedding to be From Now On.
That
So
would be a good one.
yeah, it starts out kind of slow, and then it picks up, so it just gives us a chance to be goofy and have fun with
Nice.
it. So
Yeah, that's a good first dance.
yeah, so it'll be.
I'm glad it's not Perfect from Ed Sheeran.
Oh no,
Please tell me that's not in your movie.
No,
Or
it's
anything
not.
Bruno Mars.
no.
Or anything by Maroon 5.
Maroon 5's not terrible.
I can only
What's
say
that one
Sugar's
Bruno Mars song?
Okay, I don't really care
I'd
for that
toss
song.
a grenade at you. I'd blow up your face for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
don't think that's how it goes.
No, it's not
but-
how it goes.
David.
David, that's
All
right.
We'll go clockwise.
They can't see me looking at him. That's right.
I'm choosing from one of the greatest studios of all time.
I know the
Illumination
studio.
Pictures.
No.
The soundtrack from.
Okay.
Studio
I found what I'm going to talk about.
Okay, good.
So,
Studio
Studio
Ghibli?
Ghibli.
Yes.
Now, one would say all of Studio Ghibli's soundtracks are fantastic. You would not be wrong. However, I can only pick one movie
Yes.
that it comes from.
You have to pick
This is
one.
tough because I was down to 3 or 4. Porco Rosso is a fantastic one.
Mhm.
Gotta love Princess Mononoke. Ponyo is another magnificent studio. I mean, fantastic. But you just have to go with Kiki's Delivery Service
Oh, yeah.
every time.
Oh, yeah.
I only know one song from that one
The
because I.
whimsy of how they made that soundtrack is by far. You could play it, and there's playlists online, there's playlists on YouTube, and there's jazz iterations, there's rock iterations,
Wow.
there's metal iterations, and all of it sound great because it's just one of the best soundtracks.
Because the bass is so good.
It's so good. It's fantastic.
And if you could drop it, which you can, it would be amazing.
There are probably dubstep iterations of Kiki's Delivery Service soundtrack somewhere out there.
Kiki's Delivery Service.
I just found a beautiful section of YouTube. Soundtracks converted into 8-bit.
Yes, that's also really good.
Yeah, those are really fun.
For phone ringtones especially.
Yes,
because the
those
file
are-
size is very tiny.
Yes. So
The thing.
Yes, number 5. So, Gallivant.
really,
Yes, number 5. So, I didn't talk too much about the lyrics in Gallivant during the binge section, to binge or not to binge section, but so they take melody and they play on a lot of tropes in musicals, and they take a lot of the same like musical styles that are used in musicals, but they also add like a lot of modern flair to it. But all that is to enhance the lyrics of these songs. And there's just almost everything in these songs are just self-referential, self-conscious, and they talk about stuff like the Black Plague wiping them out and not being able to win against the king because he's gonna like kill them all or something. And it's just like they talk about these very serious things, but also these very whimsical things. There's this one part where there's these two princesses, and they're literally having a sing-off battle about how much they hate each other, and it's just. Oh man, they have some amazing writers on these songs, and they just sometimes the lyrics completely contradict the style of music that they're in.
Yeah.
It's just so great. I think it's probably the best TV soundtrack that I've listened to.
Wow.
Excellent.
High praise.
Yes. So.
Yes.
Well, with that, I think we're
Too bad they canceled it.
I know.
Number 4.
Number 4. Evan,
My Hero Academia.
want to see my surprise face?
It looks the same as your.
nothing
Want to
changed.
see it again?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Dude,
It's rocking.
It's only at 4 because I have a feeling it has room to grow. It has room to have better music since the series I don't think it's even close to being done yet. But yeah, it is such a good collection of songs. They do a really good job to captivate the moment of what's going on like in the show. Anime has a whole other section of soundtrack music with its openings. Like the openings are always so great and they get you pumped up for what you're about to watch. And and it does so much for the show that not that it wouldn't be as good without the music, but it just adds a whole other layer to it that it wouldn't be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
there is just a mixture of like rock and then a mixture of Japanese pop music as people know it as, and yeah, they just do a good job of mixing all the different styles, and all the orchestral sweeping music that they have in there too is so good.
Feels central too.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes you feel things. Like they know how to pull at the heartstrings at the right moments with the right music, and it's perfect. So, yeah, that's my number 4
Nice.
for all those reasons.
Well, my number 4 was a difficult decision. I've been trying to keep to a different thing each time.
Right.
And I think for this one, I had to go with something that was a musical.
Mm.
Now, of musicals, I have 3 favorites. One of which being Music Man, another which being Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay.
Both are fantastic, but you cannot kappa the Julie Andrews classic Sound of Music.
Oh no, of course not.
So that is my number 4. I
Wow.
have fond memories of this. We play it like routinely every year just to watch it, just because. And it's a fantastic soundtrack. And
Wait a second. What's the name of it? I completely missed
Sound
it.
of Music.
Sound of Music. Okay. I just heard. Yeah. Gotcha.
That one.
Yes.
I can't sing.
I
but-
know it very faintly.
The whole soundtrack is great. It encapsulates the entire musical. It puts it in perspective. The songs mean something, and I think a lot of
They're not there to fill up space.
exactly. And that was my
Come on,
that was
twerk
my
that booty ain't like deep enough for you.
My problem with the other 2 was so Fiddler on the Roof. A lot of the plot was just open. There was no music, and a lot of those dragged on parts of it, like either the dad singing about tradition, and it meant nothing because he just let his daughters get married early anyway. So, like the entire the musical made sense because it's a musical, but it didn't make any sense to the plot. And same with Music Man. A lot of the parts that are Music Man didn't have any relevance. They were just singing because.
Right.
But with Sound of Music, everything meant something. Everything was involved in some way. So
Exactly.
that's why I chose the classic Sound of Music.
I wanted to try to find or pick something with Frank Sinatra in it, but it was really hard because I love Frank Sinatra. He's awesome, and I love the classical music that means something. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really
I thought you were gonna say it was really difficult because Frank Sinatra sucks and is not worth even.
No,
I'm
that's
just
not what I
kidding.
was
That's
gonna
not
say.
true.
Oh,
He's just not my type,
Dude.
but I think he's fantastic.
dude, My Way is
Oh,
one of
yeah.
I think one of my favorite songs.
They
of
play
all
New
time.
York every time the Yankees win or lose in New York. So it is a classic.
Am I at number 4 now?
You are now number 4.
Yep.
Yes. So, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. I think there are very Is that like you pouring salt, or is that like that's fantastic?
No,
pizza?
that's just his thing, and he has this
So-
flick thing that he does.
Yes.
I've listened to these soundtracks so many times from all three movies, and you could have not picked a better composer for these films. So I think Fellowship of the Ring, I had to pick it just because
Who was the composer?
Howard Shore.
He's good.
He'd done a lot of previous soundtracks that were not anything like this one.
Right.
So it just kind of came out of nowhere. But I think there are very few films that I've watched where the soundtrack can compete with the story, with the visuals, with
Wow.
just everything. And this soundtrack it stands alone, and it just complements the film in just such an amazing way. I think it's what's the name of that song? Not regarding hobbits. It's like something hobbits. Anyway, that song, dude, it just like it makes me want to cry even when I don't want to cry. It's just so well made. And then you have the epic scores, and you have the just like high pitched choirs and just creepy song. It's a masterpiece.
It creates good ambiance.
Yeah.
And especially for a series like Lord of the Rings, where it's a very
High regarded show.
yes, it's. I mean, you can't say some of the best like fictional stories of all time, Star Wars.
Right.
Or, you can't not bring up Lord of the Rings. It's just impossible. It's one of the keystones of
Right.
cinematic.
It's one of the
brilliance.
It's one of the keystones of just nerdom as we know
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Like you can't,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah,
Yes.
excellent.
Number 3.
Number 3. Do you guys
Trilogy?
Do you guys remember the movie Southpaw?
Yes.
I've never watched it, but I know it.
With Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yep.
With soundtrack done mostly by Eminem himself, Marshall Mathers.
That's your number 3.
Oh yeah, that's my.
Now I need to watch
seriously,
it.
That soundtrack is my gym workout song.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, like talk about phenomenal.
that is true.
One of the songs is named Phenomenal.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
Eminem, he's been killing it for years. He's still killing it. He's still doing so great.
He's better than Machine Gun Kelly.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Machine Gun Kelly lost. Deal with it. Nathaniel has no idea what we're talking
No,
about.
I know what you're talking
Oh, you
about. I'm
are?
like
Okay.
trying to figure out something clever to say, but there's nothing clever about Machine Gun Kelly. So
Yeah.
I
Let's see,
I
career
don't know.
rapist versus a guy who was a 90s DJ. I wonder who will win.
You only mentioned one guy.
It's okay.
So
And the thing was, though, I liked Machine Gun Kelly for a while, but then he did that, and it was really stupid. But that's beside the point. That's not what
more
we're
like
talking about.
Machine Gun Smelly, am I right?
It did.
There
it
you
did
go.
a good
That took
job.
way too long. It was not worth it. Okay, go ahead.
The soundtrack did a really good job, like capturing the intensity of a boxer and what being a boxer, was about. And it also did a good job with. Did his jet just fly?
It was
by?
airmail.
You just silent mode on your phone for a reason, dude, and you can just
Click.
there you go.
Sorry.
I lost my train of thought. Yeah,
it
so
embodies
it embodies the intensity of
fight.
of fighting, yes, and
Great fight.
yeah, and it just gets your heart pumping, and I think that's the whole point of it. And and the thing that's crazy about it, it did a really good job getting your heart pumping, and then once your heart was pumping, you're still able to like come down and like feel like what was going on in the movie, like in those really hard points. When it got really emotional, like you were able to feel. I said they didn't get you so hyped up that you wanted to see was fights. Like you were.
It wasn't the Rocky movies where it's just
No,
like
mm-mm.
someone
It was-
just died and I still have an erection.
Yeah.
That kind of event. Like,
I get
he's having a stroke. Is this a part of the plot?
No.
No, it's his version of poetry.
It's like no, that's just.
We didn't even give him a script. This is him just actually crying.
It's like
he's improving.
yeah.
I was gonna say his jaw is forever locked to the side. Sorry, Sylvester. But yeah, so it does a really good job embodying, the intensity of what it means to be a fighter, and and every time I go to the gym, I listen to
You're
it.
just
And
on
it gets me so pumped, dude.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to it. It's been out for 3 years, and I'm still like super pumped by it. So yeah, hasn't lost its mustard at all.
Oh man. So I have to watch that movie again.
I need to like actually watch
I
it.
have it on Divid.
Divid.
I own it. Vivid.
He said he owns it too, but in a different way, using different words to say the same thing.
What's Divid?
Anyway, Number 3. I can go with number 3. No, I can't. I'm actually still deciding.
Yeah, you're still deciding.
Go,
All right.
David.
All right, so
Alright,
I've
sir.
done an animated movie. That's basically a movie and an anime. I've done a musical. Time for a video game.
Vigi?
Time for a
mm.
video game.
My
Who
expectations
here
are
has
high.
played Golden Sun?
What's that? What's that?
I 100% know what it is. I know some of the incredible music in this game.
Golden Sun rivals to me what Final Fantasy could be in a soundtrack. And this game came out around Final Fantasy's like peak in a way.
It was like mid 90s.
Yeah, and it still, in my opinion, blows it out of the water. It's a Game Boy Advance game. Such a long game. Like like Dark Souls is long. Like games are long. This game is long.
This
Like-
game is
Like
Long.
I'm sure a playthrough could not take less than 300 hours. Of
Wait.
just the story.
Wait.
Just to the story.
300.
On just one. It's a two-parter. So there's Golden Sun and Golden Sun 2 Lost Age. But I have to pick Golden Sun 1 because it's the original and it's the best.
I need to have another lifetime to play through that
Oh,
game.
it's so
Because
I
I
have
know
it.
I need
I
to play
have
through
it.
it. 4.
If and when we
For
start
or Twitch thing.
Game Boy Advance.
Game Advance.
I have it for Game Boy Advance.
I have a Game Advance.
There's a lot of things we have to do when we get to our Twitch. We need
Well-
to have you play through the entirety of Spider-Man when we do that.
Absolutely. And I
It's-
can walk everywhere.
We'll talk.
Welcome to the,
we'll talk about that later.
Welcome to the live walkcast,
Yeah.
where we live stream David walking
I've never
throughout the
laughed so
entirety of
hard
Spider.
in my life. Okay.
But that was mine, Golden Sun. If you have not played it, Get an emulator.
Find 300 hours.
Don't get an emulator. Buy the game by going online and purchasing it from valid sources.
Where can I
Don't
purchase?
emulate it
You can
illegally.
purchase it
No,
from
no, no, no,
valid
no.
sources by going online. And
Where can you purchase
Googling it.
300 hours worth of free time?
Quitting your job.
I think you can probably get it. on
Sweet, I'm doing that today.
Nintendo.
I'm literally doing that today.
They've sprinkled a bit actually in a lot of the Smash Bros stuff. They actually
Yes.
have Golden Sun stuff in Smash Bros.
There's a lot of people
There's a lot of nods to them.
thinking that Isaac will be playable
I
in
really-
this Smash
really
Brothers. It
hope
hasn't been
so.
revealed yet,
I
but there's a lot of hype for
I
it.
really hope so, because that game in itself is one of my favorite games of all time. And yeah, it's just the soundtrack is it's whimsical. It's climactic. It's confrontational. It's sad. It's happy. It's everything. It's everything you could want in a video game soundtrack. So that's mine. The theme.
Undertale.
Out of
So,
this room right now, we're never talking enough.
Undertale is not
I got
only.
real quick.
Oh man. So Undertale blindsided me when it came out. What was it, like 2015?
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere, and everyone.
It
was
came
just
out of
kinda like-
nowhere and people were freaking out. I got into the game because my brother was like, my brother was unconscious just because of just the euphoria that he experienced from the game. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of, but so he was obsessed with this game, and I'm like, okay, I'll play it. Okay, just like calm down. I'll play the game. And your image is not helping, but
I can't.
so I played the game. Blown away. You guys played Witcher 3? Evan has.
Oh,
I prefer Undertale to Witcher 3.
Wow.
I think Undertale is the better game.
wow, really?
It made me feel more. The gameplay for what it was incredible. Like, I thought the gameplay was trash when I saw it. I was like, what is this? This is not going to be fun. It's hard. It's fun.
It's just 8-bit.
The story is one of the best, most hilarious stories in gaming. I just was blown away by this game. And then the soundtrack. There are over 100 tracks in this game, all written by Toby Fox, one guy.
That is
He wrote all the soundtrack. There are like a few themes that are redone, but most of the soundtracks are just original tracks.
What?
Like, they don't repeat themes in like a lot of the tracks. And it's just like, how did you write so many songs for a game and they're all good?
Right.
And you've got like, I think he's a classically trained musician.
Oh, I gotta love those guys.
I think so, because a lot of the tracks, like even the 8-bit tracks that he has in there, they sound like classically inspired. And you've got the blends of sounds in the soundtrack. There's like retro, there's modern, there's piano, there's like synths, there's like so many things blended together, and it's just the perfect soundtrack. One of the most perfect soundtracks. Emotional,
I agree.
epic,
A lot of
whimsical,
that reminds
boom.
me a lot of how Earthbound took off. So, and it's very reminiscent of Earthbound in
The
gameplay.
yeah, the creator of the game, Toby Fox, he was I mean, the art style is ripped off of Earthbound, basically.
But I mean, in a way, it's its own game, and in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
I like the soundtrack out of that more than Earthbound. So it's like
Have you played Undertale or just listened to the soundtrack?
I've listened to the soundtrack. I didn't have
Yeah.
the patience to play.
It can be frustrating sometimes.
It's very frustrating.
I mean, it really behooves you to play through it twice because you have the pacifist and then you have the
Actually,
the
3
genocide.
times.
3 times, really?
Is
there a third option?
The third one is you get the true ending, and I haven't played all 3.
Wow.
There's
Interesting.
pacifist, there's genocide, and then you have to play it again to get the true ending.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess
Great
we're on
soundtrack.
to the silver medal.
Numero dos.
yes, that was the bronze. Now we're on the silver.
Indeed.
Hi ho, silver.
Let's switch up the order a little bit. I could go.
Yeah. All right, go for it.
Blow your lip.
How? Okay, so
He paused. He was like, "Should I?"
there are so many freaking amazing Disney soundtracks.
Oh.
I didn't pick any of them. This one technically is Disney,
Well played.
but it's really Pixar. Coco.
Coco.
Coco
yeah.
has the best soundtrack in any film for me. I just
And this
have
is
never.
this is just number 2 as well.
This is just number 2. So for movies, man, it's just. Again, I haven't watched like a billion movies, but the way that this connected with me, and part of it has to do with kind of my my ancestry, my background. I'm Mexican American, so like a lot of the sort of just like musical influences, and it's funny because a lot of the styles used in the
You just gave a lot of people who don't know what we look like, a good description of what you look like. So now I'm sure they have a real.
Well, that's me. I didn't say anything about you.
I know
You're
well, no,
Asian, so
that's true. Yeah.
you could tell by his voice and his eyes, which you can see through his voice.
You can see his eyes.
That's what I just said, through his voice.
I
Mr.
find that
Indian
offensive
Man.
because I am blind, and you know that.
That's exactly what I meant.
People
So
that know us are like
Your
these guys.
heritage.
my heritage.
It brings you to.
There a lot. I had like a lot of that type of like style music at parties and stuff. But some of the even types of music, which is fun. What's funny is that a lot of those styles of music I'm not a big fan of listening to, but it was just it works, and the nostalgia of it for me, like with my just heritage and everything, that alone is like a big factor. But then you got the lyrics to these songs, like the English version of this movie is half in Spanish, half in English. Some of the songs are only in Spanish because they just work that way. That's the only way they work. But there are Spanish versions, full Spanish of all the songs, and they're just the most just touching. Oh, man, that movie is amazing in and of itself, but the soundtrack is what ties it together. If it didn't have that soundtrack, it wouldn't be what it is. And it's
Beautiful.
just heartbreak and everything. That soundtrack is everything.
Wow. That's awesome, dude.
Hard to beat a Disney soundtrack, honestly. It's very difficult.
Yes.
It's like, watch me do it.
Yeah.
Yes. What is your Disney stuff now?
Yeah. So, I've done an anime movie.
Yes. Why are you looking at me?
Done a musical.
Yes.
Because I know exactly, which one I'm going to say
Mm-hmm.
when I say a TV show. That's soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know which one?
Stranger Things.
No.
Oh.
That's
no, I
that
don't
wasn't
know.
that wasn't a TV show. That was a
Older.
Netflix thing.
It's a TV show.
It's a
It's a series. It counts as a TV show.
A Netflix series
Older.
is different.
Older.
I
leave
don't
it to
know where
Beaver.
you're going. Leave it to Beaver. I swear, if you say that, I will quit this pod. No.
Ward.
Well, I mean, I'll know when you say it, probably.
Thomas the Tank Engine, the original one. I'm
Get out.
completely kidding.
I was about to say get.
I was
out.
gonna say there's something I'm missing. I've not heard that sound.
No, the soundtrack from the TV show. Now, this is an old TV show.
Okay.
I grew up watching this TV show.
Is it from the 90s?
It is from the 90s.
I think I know what you're talking about, but continue.
So, when I've grown up relatively, like, not sheltered, but from what I've watched on TV and what was allowed being watched on TV, everything seemingly made sense. We watched, regular Christian wholesome crap. And then there was West Wing. Have either of you watched West Wing? I'm sure. I thought I mentioned it.
I know a little
What's
bit
the
about it,
name?
but no.
It's a political drama, and it's based off of like sort of.
Is it like General Hospital?
No,
Is this number 2 or number 1? I don't even know.
This is number 2.
This is number 2.
West Wing is a very good show. It lasted
I just know about it.
9 seasons or something crazy like that. It was based off of what an actual president has to do, and the soundtrack was very orchestral, and there was a lot of like it was very American, very like old century American. A lot of their political styling of music. But what hit it for me was because I watched it again recently. I watched the whole series again recently, and realized, damn, this soundtrack's really good. There's sometimes when I'm watching news, I'm just like, this country. Why?
I thought that was gonna end a lot shorter.
Right? And I was like, sometimes with this country, I just have to ask why. But when I'm watching
My
that,
fiance asks why all the time.
I mean, I ask why every day of my life, but go on.
But when I'm watching that show and I hear the soundtrack, it's like it gets you very patriotic. It's very engaging. It's very it gets you uplifted in a way. And it's weird to say that I get that from a political drama. But out of TV shows, that one has a really
Everyone has
good
their
soundtrack,
niche.
right?
I don't
has
even
their
know what it
niche.
sounds like. I have to look it up.
It's pretty good. It's
Well, I mean, if it's number 2, it's like
number 2. So
yeah.
But yeah,
Interesting.
It's a very good soundtrack. It's very I don't know how to put it. You just gotta listen to it. It's just very good.
I think you put it well based on the fact that I've never listened to it. So.
Yeah. So.
So
Nice. Evan.
I have something from Disney.
Oh.
I mean, to say it's from Disney is kind of it's kind of unfair.
Wait. It's Treasure Planet.
Cars 3. Oh.
No.
No.
It okay. So
Treasure Planet
when I
was a
say it, you guys will get what I'm getting at.
It's Pixar.
It's
No.
Okay, we'll let you talk.
It was it's the soundtrack from Marvel's Spider-Man,
Okay.
the PS4 game that came out, and I say that because Marvel owns Disney, or Disney owns.
Oh.
So technically-
okay.
Clever girl.
Technically, friggin' Black Panther's a Disney king now, so
Right.
whatever. But yeah, so dude, it
Good
does.
choice.
Oh my gosh, it swells and it's so victorious, but it's also somber when it needs to be. It adds another layer to the game when you're swinging through the city. It slows down and stops when you're walking around, but when you leap off a building and you start swinging, it just swells in and you feel like you get goosebumps.
It's like interactive too.
Oh gosh,
like you're saying,
yeah.
it just like changes depending on what you're
the
doing.
soundtrack in this game is another character.
Mhm.
It is another character with its own arc, and it rises and falls, and it's just like it makes you have just like a wave of emotions, and it comes in when it needs to, and it hits the point exactly when it needs to, in the exact right emotional times to accent the emotional points that don't really need the music to make these points emotional, but they still bring that little extra layer that you kind of have that soundtrack on your head when you're going through a moment like that. As it is, you're already having that sad music in your head. It's almost like I said, it's almost like its own character in the story, and it adds so much, and it is so just like
It's Spider-Man. It's so
good.
Spider-Man.
It is Spider-Man in a nutshell. The guy who did, and it was written by the guy who did the Daredevil
Right,
soundtrack
for
for the
Netflix.
Netflix series. He knocked it out of the park. The Daredevil soundtrack was really good, but this,
Yeah.
he embodied Spider-Man with this soundtrack.
I think with it, they took a lot of cues from previous Spider-Man franchises and shows and just everything.
You could really hear like the little bits from, especially like the main orchestral music when you're swinging through the city. It sounds very Sam Raimi
Yes.
Spider-Man.
Yes.
It does, with the violins and and it sounds very Sam Raimi, but it's still its own thing, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Great pick.
Well, Nathaniel, are you ready?
Can I go last?
That's it, David.
Because I have
Do you want to
so
go first,
much-
and then we'll come back this way?
Oh man.
So what's number one?
Okay.
Unless someone else feels strongly about number 1.
So
I feel very strongly about my number one, but I want David to share first since
Go ahead.
he hasn't shared first yet.
the only one that remains. I've done a movie. I've done a musical. I've done a video game. And-
Video game.
I have done a TV show. Only one remains. Means an anime.
Thomas the Train
An
Engineer.
anime.
Core in the house.
Corey is the house.
Clearly Shrek. No.
Shrek is my favorite anime
I
with a
have,
strong female lead. Go ahead.
that would be the plot twist. It's I'm a girl this whole time. How'd they have kids then? No. Okay.
Don't think about it too
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Just don't
So-
think about it.
It has to be an anime.
Yes.
I think I know where you're going with this, but
Which one do you think?
I don't want
Just-
to say
just
it.
go.
I don't want to say it. I want you to, because an anime is my number one too. So
My life has been devoted to many things that last a long time.
Oh, okay. I know what it is. I know what it is.
oh, I know.
My
I got it.
my long
John
career
Silver? Oh.
playing RuneScape. A lot of things that have done such things, but something I've committed more time to than any is the anime One Piece.
I knew it.
Yes.
That
When you said long, I was like,
yeah,
Has like a lot of trumpets, right?
it's got a lot of everything.
Mm.
It's they have an entire orchestra, and everything's original.
They have so many openings.
They have a lot of openings. They have a lot. But if I had to choose an arc, because I can't just say One Piece because of how many stinking seasons I could go with. If I had to go with one, it would have to be the most recent arc, the Dressrosa arc, because of it's obviously more recent.
Yes.
But the stuff that goes on in that arc, there's a lot of death, there's a lot of despair, there's a lot of happiness, there's a lot of victory. It's funny, it's sad, it's everything, and there's plenty of times when I cry watching that just from how sad parts are, and then get a massive erection from how awesome things are as well. But no, I'm kidding. But just the
No, you can be serious about that if you want, because I get music erections.
but I wish I.
Am
could
I the
just
only
say-
normal, wholesome person around here?
Probably.
But I'd say One Piece, but just saying One Piece doesn't do justice for it because of how
How much music there is.
much music there is. There's so much, because there's they have stuff like classical kind of music, they have rock, they have blues, they have jazz, they have any kind of music, they have metal, they have any kind of music you want, and it's in that entire anime. But
Why have you done this to me? I'm going to have to download all these soundtracks and
I
listen
know,
to them.
I'm sorry, but it's
Download them. Just start watching the anime.
it's so just start and never finish.
Exactly my fear.
I was gonna say I said before, I've wanted to get my fiance to watch an anime with me. We might just do that after we get married. We might
it will last your whole marriage.
It'll last longer than marriage.
You'll be dead and it'll still be going.
Still, yeah, it'll keep going still after.
It'll find a way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you guys were 90 and died?
Yeah.
This is just the first tenth of
Now
the
I say
anime.
it'll keep going, not in the same sense that Naruto has kept going. You can't just make 3 different storylines and say it's the same. No, this one has been
Naruto and Naruto Shippuden are not the same thing.
Boruto.
I really care about
I mean,
this
you're
child
basically
now.
putting boring in the name, and you
Yeah.
know it's tired.
Anyway.
And then they're gonna do the same thing. There's gonna be Boruto Shippuden, and then there's gonna be Boruto's son,
Tarantulo.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tangelo.
Half spider, half ninja.
Anyway, gosh, that was a weird
So-
tangent. Okay,
One Piece.
Yes.
One Piece.
One
I love
Piece.
One Piece.
I
Awesome, dude.
barely know what it sounds like. I know very minimal, so I'm very
I
excited
know.
to listen to this.
I know the soundtrack from Purple Eyes Abridged
Yeah.
One Piece.
Oh my
I know that one. Yo, what the?
Evan.
Everyone thinks of the rap from 4Kids. And I'm like,
Ugh.
absolutely.
It's like,
That's the best part of it now.
um,
They literally have every genre. They do have rap. They have
I believe you.
everything.
No, I believe you.
Evan,
It's so crazy.
do you want to rock, paper, scissors for who goes last? Or do you want to?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Rochambeau. Okay.
Oh,
All right, you go first.
No, I go last.
He chooses.
Oh, you choose. Oh, that's how that works. Okay.
Yes.
Fine, I guess. Mine is an anime as well. I have 2 animes on my list. But this one is closer to my heart, and I think you guys know which one I'm talking about. But I'll just say it anyway. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Absolutely.
Yes.
This one, I have this one at the top and above My Hero, only because it is a completed series, and in itself, it is such a great soundtrack. All the openings it's very similar to One Piece. They have they only have 5 openings throughout the season or whatever. But
They're so good.
but they're so good, and
Oh.
they cover a different array of genres. They have like the first one is a mixture of rap and rock, which
Yeah.
is awesome. Then they have a jazz bluesy kind of pop one in the
my
middle.
favorite one.
That one's so good. Then they have two other ones that are very rocky and upbeat, and then the last one is very like somber and kind of like very like conclusive, and it's
Yeah.
like it really gives you these feelings of conclusion and completion.
Yeah.
And
I remember watching the last one, and when I watched the last time, I would watch the opening. You're just like, this is really the last time I'm gonna like. It is very. It completes the whole thing.
Finale.
So good.
It's very finalized, and but even so, like the ones in the first one, the second one, third one, fourth one, the fifth one, all of them, all of the sections, the openings are great. Then just the soundtrack and the scores in each episode are great, and it really does a good job with like setting the tone with where you are in the story, what's going on in the story, where the story's going.
Yep.
And each character kind of has their own theme that you get familiarized with. So when you hear the music, and the character's not on screen, you know something's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
And it does a really good job with like, again, just does a really good job with setting tone and making you and giving you an extra boost of feels like when it needs to. And what I love about all the things on my list is that who's the writer of Rick and Morty?
Oh,
Dan Harmon?
Dan
He's one
Harmon.
of the
Dan
creators.
Harmon. He told me, or not told me.
I was gonna say, whoa.
you know Dan Harmon.
I haven't met him. No.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I hear he's a scumbag.
I've heard.
Great creator, though.
I've heard that he was giving advice to like people editing, and like when he's like, create a scene that can be great without music, and then once you've done it, then add music. What's great about all of these that I've put on, they all
Dan
did.
Harmon said that.
Dan Harmon said that.
Wow.
That was his advice to one of his editors, because he was trying to like edit with music and try to make something fit. And he said, "Here's what you do: take all the music out, make the scene work without music, and then add music afterwards." And so all the things on my list, I imagine them without music, and they all still work. It's just the music that comes in that adds that extra tone. It's not like music that's carrying these things. It's music that's making all of these things better. I love music very much, and like I use that to get connected with a lot of different things.
Kind of like you said with Spider-Man, the music in all these is like a character itself.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think music can be great when it becomes a character in its respective like art form. And that's why I picked Full Metal Alchemist as my number one, because it really becomes its own character.
Yeah, great choice.
Thank you. Nice. All right. Take
So-
us away.
Yeah, we'll talk about other ones that just missed
Yeah,
missed
the
the
honorable
time.
mentions.
Yeah.
We'll do like
we'll
a couple.
go after Nathaniel, but yeah.
Yeah, so I could easily do a whole podcast on this composer.
Wow.
Yoko Shimomura, in my opinion, is the best composer on this planet. She started out doing like music, I want to say like 30 years ago, for video games. She went to college for music and then ended up doing like Street Fighter and stuff at Capcom. She did Guile's theme, which everybody loves.
It goes with everything.
And then she, after the years passed and video games got better music, she did Kingdom Hearts. Some of the best freaking music on the planet. Like, it takes you to every emotional like level of the human experience, and then further. And then after she's still working on Kingdom Hearts 3 and stuff. Kingdom Hearts is not the entry, by the way. It's what got her to this entry. And this game itself is not like one of the best games I've played at all. It's a great game, bordering on good. I know you had mentioned Final Fantasy earlier. and how like Golden Sun. So I haven't heard Golden Sun, so I need to go back.
Okay.
I only know very little about the music. I know of Smash Bros remakes, but
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15 took everything that Yoko has learned from her life and like took Kingdom Hearts to like a very like the most mature, just like epic, emotional place I've just heard music go. So Final Fantasy 15, I think it also has around 100 songs. There are a few tracks on the soundtrack that are not written by her, but like every song that she writes is a hit on the soundtrack. The other composers who worked on this can't compete with her. Like just the amount of just like just raw emotion and feeling and perfection in her like orchestral soundtracks. And she has rock and drums and has like all these other modern elements incorporated into the orchestra. Oh man, I could just if I had to pick one soundtrack just to listen for the rest of my life, it would be Final Fantasy 15's. It's just everything that I love about music rolled into one soundtrack. And I just it's just I'm gonna die just thinking about it. It's so good. Listen to the soundtrack. The amount of like just battle songs by itself, just the amount of battle songs that
or
this
just
game
go
has.
and enjoy these different forms of entertainment and enjoy it with like in its whole too. I think that'd also be a good recommendation.
You can play the game too, but I think just listening to the soundtrack on its own is like forget about the game. Listen to the soundtrack.
Is that what made you fall in love with those games? Was the soundtrack? Can you say?
No.
No?
That was so this is the only Final Fantasy game she scored. Nobuo Uematsu, something like that. Anyway, he's like a classic composer. Nobuo. He's written like most Final Fantasy soundtracks. But she came in and this is her first one and she knocked it out of the park. She did better work than he's ever done in my opinion.
Get wrecked, bro.
So get wrecked. Except not because he actually is having health problems and is stepping back from music at the moment.
Oh my
So I hope you get well. No
Get the
bull.
reverse of wrecked.
Get the reverse of
my
wrecked.
God.
Get repaired.
Yes.
Get better soon.
So if you guys had to pick like a 6 and a 7, like
oh man, that's hard.
Mine's hard because I think what I did for mine was the number one of those genres for me. It's hard to say 6 and 7 on like a scale basis, but I'd say like
How about we pick honorable mention and a just kind of like whimsical.
just because.
I love this.
I
soundtrack just because.
only asked because I have 2 already.
What's yours?
Not necessarily in order, but one of them is the God of War soundtrack from the PS4 game. I was telling you guys
Yeah.
about that earlier.
Fantastic.
It is. It makes you feel like
You're there.
They talk about God of War being like a power fantasy. It is, and the soundtrack helps a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Bear McCreary, I think is his
He's
composer.
excellent.
He's worked on so
very
much.
premium.
Very good.
Premium
Very
steak.
premium.
And my second one, which I think people will probably be a little confused about, Dragon Ball Super, not the original Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. They are classics, yes. You know, Bruce Faulkner is, his music was, defined a generation, not everyone agrees with that, but Dragon Ball Super, I think, did a really good job, bringing that high energy feel to the series. Especially its like triumphant return back to mainstream. It really captured that feeling, and a lot of the songs, and not even the intros. The intros are great, but then the songs that they had created for the show,
Like the soundtrack.
the soundtrack is great, and I still listen to a lot of the soundtrack from the story, like when I go to the gym, like it pumps me up, and it's awesome. So. Those are 2 like honorable mentions for me that just from the top of my head.
Yeah, I got a couple. So I don't think I mentioned an anime in my list.
No.
Attack on Titan, I think. Oh my goodness. I think the word that like I'm gonna be brief, but the word that sums up Attack on Titan is like terrifyingly epic, and that's 2 words, but it's just. The amount of adrenaline and just like power in the soundtrack is just unmatched. So great. And this one is more of a. So I had this on as number 5 on my movies list, the ones that I had picked. I just love the soundtrack. It's very nostalgic to me, and it's just very quirky and it's hilarious. Hercules, Disney.
Oh yeah,
It's just so great.
that is my favorite Disney movie.
It's
Hercules. It's
you know
just the like you can pick any song out of it and it's fantastic. Even like just the what's the name of them? The women they're on the do the transition song.
Oh, the I forget what they're called. The
We are the Muse.
Thank you.
yes.
That's just it. Just did such a good
And
performance
proclaimer
there.
of heroes.
Even like what's her name? Not Hera.
Meg.
Meg. Even
Oh, yeah.
her song is like
Oh yeah.
Even Hercules song when he goes from
the distance. That song
Yeah.
is
I can go the distance.
if you've never
Such
heard
a great movie.
if you've never heard of
I don't care how far.
oh, what's his name?
Somehow
Michael
I'll
Bolton
be-
sings that song.
Oh,
He
yes.
blows that thing out of the water with his
Well, because it's Michael Bolton.
his
dude.
double soprano voice. It's just like, oh, you think this song is good? Let me try singing it for a second.
Is that even the same song anymore?
Everyone's pants was then wet. Yeah.
They had no pants anymore. So David,
Oh, mine's hard because I have a lot of runner-ups for a lot of these.
I bet
have
it's
like-
hard.
I have
It's
like
very-
100.
so hard. No.
I have
so-
like 100 runner-ups.
So my runner-up for anime would have to be Code Geass. Because fucking that's a great anime.
Also,
and the-
Flow is awesome.
dude, oh, it's so good.
Flow is so
They
freaking
are
good.
on the-
They're still killing it, dude.
Yeah.
They have like 11 albums
Yeah.
throughout their career. It's so good. Anyway,
My runner-up for TV show would have to be Burn Notice because I love Miami style rock. That's fantastic. Love that show. My runner-up for the Ghibli films, that's tough because honestly, it was a tie between like My Neighbor Totoro and
Spirited Away.
a Whisper or no, A Cat's Return. So
What?
A Cat's Return.
I don't even know that one.
Yeah, dude, watch
Cat's Return.
it. The Cat's Return.
That's a Studio
That's
Ghibli
a Studio Ghibli film. Watch
Wow,
it.
I'm gonna have to watch. I mean, I've not watched a lot of them.
Watch this and then feel, and you'll cry.
I mean, I feel a lot. So
The whole plot of the movie is somebody who doesn't know what she wants to do in life. Yeah.
holy
that
hell!
Ghibli
Can
film.
I watch that now?
I relate to that
And then-
on so many levels already.
Musical, I think a good Grease. You have to have Grease. That's a great
Yes.
musical. And then let's see, what's the other one? I did TV, anime. I think that's it. Oh, movie. Okay. Got to have one more movie in there.
Just one movie. We got to
Just
wrap
one
this up,
movie, and I think everyone was expecting it. You gotta do Star Wars because
of course.
Star Wars is
there.
on my movie list too. It's just like
Everyone says it, and that's the thing is we don't want to
know.
be that everyone.
but it
Legend of Zelda, Star Wars.
But I mean, Star Wars it is a classic, and it inspired so
It's so good.
much, and it's just
It's so good.
Well, no,
It's
what's crazy is
fantastic.
that
Every film.
that Star Wars, the original Star Wars anyway, inspired a lot of the musicians that we
that we just
mentioned-
listed
that we
off.
listened
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
So,
Lord of the Rings, like it's yeah.
it draws so much from that
yeah. So I think
in a different way, but
I
it,
think I think it's safe to say that like we didn't have to mention Star Wars
No.
because it's such a given.
Well, there's
I think
staples. Exactly.
I think that's
Exactly.
what people could take from that.
Yeah, there's staples. Like when we say Legend of Zelda and like, the Mario theme song,
Oh, yeah, come on.
there's some staples that's like, duh, they're going to be on the list. Like this is what we like. This is like our list.
Yeah.
So
there's obviously some that are staples.
Yeah,
and,
they have to be up there.
They're given obviously, but we
Yeah.
thought we'd give attention to other ones that
Like-
maybe people don't realize are
Yeah.
as good.
like
or
the
that-
Magnum PI like theme track from TV, like MASH, like
I mean, have you heard of The World Ends With You for Nintendo DS?
dude, yeah.
Take hip hop, infuse it with Japanese personality and
Dude.
English, and some of the best beats you've ever heard.
It's so
Nobody's
good.
played this game.
It's so and
It's
then
so good.
and then there's like there's thousands that are just up there on the list where like Pokemon, duh,
Obviously.
like Yu-Gi, like not Yu-Gi-Oh, but like there's some that like they're there but they're not said just because of how good they are. But anyway, these are what
they're said. Like a lot of them are said because of nostalgia and
Absolutely,
influence, not
yeah.
necessarily of how good they are. Not saying that they aren't good. Let me
No.
make that clear. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
yeah.
they're not good, but I
No.
think a lot of people just go to those because those are nostalgia.
And I know
Yeah.
a lot of people also like pick a soundtrack, and they're like, I like the theme song.
yeah or the
But that's
cater
not
it.
the soundtrack. That's just a part of the soundtrack.
Right.
Yes,
Very small
exactly.
part.
We're talking about-
that's very much with like Pokemon. Like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
everyone knows the Pokemon theme song, but
they never
you-
listen to
But you
it.
don't know the rest of the soundtrack.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
can you recite the whole
You would
rap
not-
to me?
Yeah, I
No,
know.
you can't.
You would not be able to tell me what the Lavender Town song is. You wouldn't be able to. So, but that's ours. There is one that I think we all can agree is probably the best soundtrack of all time, and it's fucking Fantasia.
Oh yeah.
Like, how can
I
you
mean, they
not
didn't-
mention great
they-
soundtracks without saying Fantasia? Now that's saying that they stole it from artists.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, it is like
But here's
it's not
the thing-
original.
But here's the thing: is a lot of the songs that are just staples are in there, and it's a movie, and it has them all in
They
there.
did a great job of like
arranging it all, and
with the
I'd
music,
like
yes.
I'd like to say a lot of the songs that we have on our list were like originals though.
absolutely,
Yes.
yeah.
So
All of
I
them
think
were.
that's the difference.
I think that's
Yeah.
where everyone was going. The soundtracks that we picked are not only like important to us,
Yeah.
but they like fit their genre. Like if it's a movie or if it's
and they're all originals. They maybe they may have been inspired by other artists, but they are on like in itself their own things.
they were
So-
made for the specific.
Okay. I
Well-
think we've covered a lot of information.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
covered a lot. As you can tell, we freaking love music so
Yes,
much.
it's so good.
We're very influenced by music.
Now,
So speaking of music, we're gonna end off with one of my tracks that I wrote for a music project I have called "Let Glow." You can find that
my.
on YouTube. You could find it on SoundCloud.
What is the track called again?
The track.
Oh no,
um,
not the track. The album.
the artist itself is Let Glow.
Let Glow.
So
Cool.
you could just Google that and you'll find it on SoundCloud and stuff. But we will end this podcast
Also-
with this song. But before we go,
Also, you have a book that you wrote.
I do have a book that I wrote.
I meant to bring that up a while ago, but you have a book. Where can people find that book?
People could find it on Amazon Kindle. It is called "You Matter. Let Me Tell You Why."
Awesome. It's a short
It's a
read.
short-
It's like 20 pages.
It's a
right?
short book, about 20 pages,
Yeah.
but it's kind
My
of
favorite
an
book.
encapsulation
A
of
lot
my
of Reddit, and
life
she
story.
says she loved it.
She told me, and I was very touched. She said
Yeah.
she bought it. She's a keeper.
I know. You
so
can
to
also-
play us out, or
yeah. So you can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook under the name Nerdin' Out. Email us at nerdinoutpodcast@gmail.com.
nice.
Where can they find you, Evan?
They can find me on Twitter with the name, I believe,
Bearded Puerto Rican.
even though it's ironic because I'm not bearded at the moment. Yes, you can find me on Twitter at bearded_Evan.
Oh,
Because bearded Puerto Rican apparently was taken. Well, I didn't mean to.
by an actual Puerto Rican.
Do you have any social media for people to find you, David? No.
Find me on Club Penguin. No.
You've heard of ZipRAR? It's that program that unzips your zip files and RAR files. He works for
WinRAR?
that. He doesn't. Yes. There's all. I'm
I
lending both.
was gonna say like you need to make a Twitter.
With that, let's listen to my song "Moonbeams."
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.